We know that Shabbos has an official start time, which is Tzei Sekechavim, nightfall. When three stars come out, that's the beginning, Friday night. And we know Shabbos has a definitive end, which is Tzei Sekechavim, Motzei Shabbos, when three stars come out, Saturday night. So Shabbos has that border, that boundary, that specific time. But we know that one of the mitzvahs of the Torah tells us that we have to be Meisif Michal al Kiddush, that one is obligated to add from the holiness of Shabbos to the 6 days. In other words, that there should be a little bit of a extension from Shabbos before Shabbos and an extension of Shabbos after Shabbos. That's to be Meisif Michal al Kiddush. Now, there's a basic machlokes in the Rishonim and what the nature of that mitzvah is. Everyone agrees that theoretically one can accept Shabbos early, and when you accept Shabbos early, that means that you now have to officially keep Shabbos. And everyone also agrees that you could push off Havdalah, and by pushing off Havdalah, that means that Shabbos is extended, and that means you have to keep Shabbos until you make Havdalah. That's certainly true. But the question is, technically speaking, Me'ikar Hadin, what does one have to do in order to technically fulfill this requirement of being Meisif Michal al Kiddush, of adding onto Shabbos? So some are of the opinion that the way one has to do that is by accepting Shabbos early, literally, or by pushing off Havdalah, literally. Again, for how long is undefined. It could just be for a few minutes. But in order to be fulfilling this mitzvah of extending Shabbos, literally one has to extend Shabbos. One has to increase the time of Shabbos beyond its normal, natural guidelines and natural boundaries, which is nightfall to nightfall. The way of fulfilling this mitzvah is by literally accepting Shabbos early and increasing the borders of Shabbos. That's one way, that's one opinion. The other opinion is that although you can do that, that's not required. The requirement is simply not to do any malacha a few minutes before the onset of Shabbos, and simply not to do malacha a few minutes after Shabbos officially ends. And the reason for that is very simple, just as a safeguard to make sure that one does not violate the halachas of Shabbos itself. If a person were to be allowed to do malacha right up to the edge of Shabbos, then we're concerned you might make a mistake by a few seconds, and you might actually do malacha on Shabbos itself. So as a safeguard, not that you have to accept Shabbos early, but you have to simply just stop working a few minutes before Shabbos just to create a buffer zone to make sure that when Shabbos actually comes, you're not working anymore. So those are the two opinions. Either, again, one has to accept upon oneself Kiddush Shabbos to literally increase the boundaries of Shabbos to fulfill this obligation, or no, the boundaries of Shabbos are what they are, but in order to safeguard from violating Shabbos, one has to stop working a few minutes before and extend stopping to work a few minutes after Shabbos, just to make sure that one doesn't enter into Shabbos, chas v'shalom, by breaking it with malacha. So this is how it is in halacha. There's always these two opinions, but we know that in Pnimis HaTorah, any difference between opinions and halacha are always complementing each other. They are all coming from the same point. So how do these two opinions merge? How do they become one? And what do they tell us about our service of Hashem? So there's a basic principle that we find in the writings of the Maharal and other Sfarim, which is paradoxical, but the concept is as follows. In order for something to have the potential to grow, it has to, by its very definition, have to have the potential for it to break, for it to become smaller. Only something that has the potential for becoming damaged has the potential for becoming beyond complete. But something that cannot become damaged cannot grow, cannot develop. The only someone that can go down is someone that can go up. Only someone that can go up is also the same person that can go down. There's two options. Either something is stuck and rigid in its spot without being able to increase in greatness nor decrease in greatness, or something has the ability to move forward, but by its very definition, therefore, it has the possibility of moving backwards as well. There's two sides to Shabbos. There's the Shabbos that God gave us. The Shabbos that God gave us is specific. It's set. It's stuck. Like Chazal used such a lashon of kvi v'kaima, that Shabbos is set in stone. It has its borders. It has its boundaries. Not more and not less. Nightfall Friday night, nightfall Saturday night. That's what Shabbos is that God gave us. But the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to give back to Him a Shabbos that's greater, a Shabbos that's deeper, a Shabbos that's beyond its borders. But by its very definition, philosophically and spiritually, the only way for something to have the potential of growth is at the same time it also has the potential for failure. You can't have one without the other. The more a person fails, the more they have to recognize their potential for greatness. The greater a person is, the more they have to recognize their potential for mistakes. And this is the secret of this halacha of Tosefes Shabbos. One opinion was to literally increase the boundaries of Shabbos, to be Makabel Shabbos early, to push off Havdalah late, and to literally take the specific Shabbos that Hashem gave us and to make it bigger, to return to Him a bigger, greater, grander Shabbos. But the other opinion was that Tosefes Shabbos means to stop working before Shabbos a few minutes and to push off working Motzei Shabbos for a few minutes to make sure that a person doesn't literally break Shabbos. Which means, ironically, one opinion of Tosefes Shabbos is expressing the unbelievable potential for the greatness of Shabbos and its ability to expand and to go higher and to become more than how it started. But the other opinion of Tosefes Shabbos is reminding us of the potential of Shabbos becoming shorter, of Shabbos becoming decreased, of Shabbos becoming broken, of Shabbos becoming desecrated. And those two opinions, one describing the potential growth of Shabbos, development of Shabbos, Shabbos taking itself to the next level, and the other opinion describing the potential for Shabbos to be damaged and to be shrunken and to be decreased from its sanctity and its level that Hashem gave us, are not contradictory. They complement each other. It's only someone that's able to grow, that's the person that's able to fail. The person that's able to fail is also the one that's able to grow. Because Shabbos could become greater, because of that, it can be desecrated as well. And that's how these two opinions merge as one. The Avodah, what we learn from this, is a fundamental principle, which is that any deficiency we find in our lives has to be dealt with, certainly, and has to be repaired. But in the back of one's mind, one always has to remember that that potential failure, or maybe that practical failure, has to be seen as an indication of how great the person can, will, and must become. Only the person that's capable of failure is the person that's capable of growth. Because Shabbos can be desecrated, and we have to be cautious of that. Because of that, Shabbos can be expanded. Those are the two sides of the same coin. Hashem should bless us that we should always be able to use the gifts that Hashem has given us for growth and to go higher and higher and higher, and should be zochet to experience the light of Shabbos in its fullest sense. Amen.